A very good morning to my dear students. In the previous class, Sir has already discussed about the big Indian, the little Indian. These are actually the type of the architectures, and then we also seen the RISC and CISC. What is the difference between Harvard and von Neumann architecture? A different type of architectures for the processor or the controllers. Okay, so that was a part of a digital signal processor or maybe a microcontroller and the microprocessor. Okay, next type of the core of an embedded system is an application specific integrated circuit. Okay, so what does this ASIC means? It's a microchip, okay, a very small chip designed to perform a specific or a unique application, okay, used as a replacement to conventional general purpose logic chips. Now imagine that you have a chip which is a general purpose used for the general purpose. This is replaced by another chip which is much smaller in size and which has to perform a specific or a unique application. What all it contains? Okay, so it integrates several functions into a single chip and thereby reduces the system development cost. So here we did not like the same chip has the number of functions to be performed, and there is no necessity of putting another some other peripherals around it. Okay, so the single chip itself has a several functions which can be performed for a particular application. ASIC consumes a very small area in the total system. Fine, it helps in the design of smaller system with high capability and functionalities. Now for example, you can take one application where you need one function which has to be performed by for some particular application. Then you can use an ASIC chip to be implemented into an application which because of the size. Okay, so it basically helps in the design of smaller systems with high capability and functionalities. Fine, so fabrication of ASICs require non-refundable initial investment for the process technology and configuration process. So what is the meaning of this is, it is going to like initially when you want to fabricate any ASIC device, you need an initial investment for the process technology and its expenses for the configuration. This investment is known as, it is basically we call this as non-recurring engineering charge. Okay, that is NRE cost, NRE charge or NRE cost, and it is one time investment. So initially itself for the fabrication of this ASICs devices, what we need is we need an initial investment. If the non-recurring engineering charges is borne by another third party, then the ASIC is made openly available in the market. Okay, if there is any third party which is going to sponsor this or is borne by any third party, then it can be made available in the market openly, and it is referred as application specific standard product, or it is called ASSP. So programmable logic devices. The logic device provide a specific function including a device to device interfacing, data communication, signal processing, data display, timing and control operations, and almost every other function a system must perform. So what does these mean by logic device? So you must have seen, you have studied digital electronics, you must have seen many logic gates, right? You must have seen and, or, not, nor, NAND. So when these gates are all combined together, they create the logic devices. Okay, and these devices are having a specific function which is used for a device to device interfacing. Okay, when you want to connect any one device to another device, it is used like an interfacing. Then it is used for the communication purposes, maybe for the processing of the signal, to display the data, and in many cases we use it for the timing and control operations. So almost every other function of a system must perform. Fine, logic devices can be classified. There are two classification. One is a fixed and the programmable. So what is the meaning of it is, there are some logic gates put in some fashion and if those fashion is fixed during the manufacture, then such type of logic devices are called fixed logic devices. And if they are programmable, okay, then they are called as programmable logic devices. Okay, so let us see, the circuits in a fixed logic device are permanent. They perform only one function or set of function. Once manufactured, they cannot be changed. So imagine you have something called as AND array and OR array. So usually suppose you want to implement any function, okay, that function might be an SOP function or might be a POS function. So we know that for an SOP function, which is sum of product, we need sum terms and product terms. Fine. So sum of product terms, so product terms will be an AND logic, sum will be of OR logic. Now similarly, if you want to use for POS, product of sum logic or the function, we need here also we need an AND gates and the OR gates. So there will be an AND array and OR array, and those AND array and OR arrays will be fixed with the fuses. Fine. Whenever we want to connect any AND term, okay, now suppose you have AB plus BC plus CA. Okay, so you need one AND for AB, one AND for BC, one AND for CA. Now there will be a different combination, like if you have three variables, fine, you can have AB, BC, CA. Fine. Suppose you have more than that, you will have many number of combinations again. So these will be the AND arrays. Now at the end you need an OR array, which connects the number of outputs of the AND to the number of OR array. Now if this connection is fixed initially, then such type of logic devices are called fixed logic devices. Now for example, another case we can see is if there are no fuses. Instead of fuses, if you have to program them manually, then such type of devices are called programmable logic devices. What are these PLDs? They offer customers a wide range of logic capacity, features, speed and voltage characteristics, and these devices can be reconfigured to perform any number of functions at any time. Fine. So these are PLDs which can be reconfigured to perform any number of functions at any time. Designers use the designers, what they do, they first build up the software. They use a tool to quickly simulate it and test their designs, and then after testing the design, if the simulation results are according to the expectation, then a design can be quickly programmed onto the device. Now what we do in our ARM processor, we have seen in ARM controller lab, we first write the program on the simulator, which is Keil simulator. We simulate that and we get the output. Now once we check that the output is correct, we dump it on the ARM processor and check its output on this hardware. Okay, similar way there are PLDs where we have AND array and OR array again. The connection between the AND array and the OR array can be programmed here. So before doing it on the board, we have to test it on the software, and the software will give you the simulation results. When the results are correct, then the program can be dumped on the logic device. Okay, let us see more about this PLDs. There are no NRE cost here. So as we had seen in the SX, we need initial investment, a huge initial investment actually. But in case of programmable logic device, we need there are no NRE cost. The final design is completely much faster than the custom or a fixed logic device. Another key benefit of this PLDs is that during the design phase, the customers can change the circuit as often as they want until the design operates to their satisfaction. Since these logic devices are programmable, we can change the circuit as often as we want, okay, so that until it gives you the required result. So the PLD is based on the rewritable memory technology to change the design, and the device is simply reprogrammed. Once the design is final, customer can go into the immediate production. Okay, once by simply programming as many PLDs as they need with the final software design file. So PLDs will be already there. Okay, the number of PLDs will be already generated. Now once we got to know that the program what we have written on the simulator is correct, then simply the next task is what, just dumping those that software onto the number of PLDs and distributing it. So the two major types of programmable logic devices are field programmable gate arrays and complex programmable logic devices. So these are the two types of PLDs. So you have seen already in your previous semester, you must have learnt Verilog, and you must have used Xilinx software to write the Verilog code and dumped that code onto the FPGA kit. Okay, so the same FPGA kit comes under the type of PLDs. Another type of PLD is complex programmable logic device. Now let us see what are the difference between the FPGA and CPLDs. Okay, so the FPGAs offer the highest amount of logic density. So they have more number of gates. There are more number of logic gates on these FPGAs with the most features and highest performance. What about CPLDs? They have smaller number of logic up to only 10,000 gates. Okay, so as the name complex, it doesn't mean that it is having more number of gates. Complex is written for a reason that a CPLD can perform a complex function, a specific function. That's why the name is given as complex programmable logic device. So here nowhere it depends upon the number of gates. Actually, the number of gates in CPLD is lesser than the field programmable gate arrays. The largest FPGA now shipping, a part of the Xilinx Vertex line of devices, provides 8 million system gates. So can you imagine here? So Xilinx, the recent Xilinx kit, what is there in the market is, it is Vertex. The Vertex range of Xilinx kits from the company Xilinx, obviously. So how many gates it provides? It provides 8 million system gates. So but the CPLD offer very predictable timing and characteristics, are therefore ideal for critical control application. Okay, so these in case of FPGA, these advanced devices also offer features such as built-in hardware processors, okay, substantial amount of memory, clock management system, support of many of the latest very fast device to device signaling technology. Now FPGA, instead along with the number of gates, along with the OR and the AND array logic, it also has a memory, a built-in memory, some built-in peripherals like the memory, the clock management system. It also has some processor on it. Okay, and in case of CPLD, such as Xilinx Cool Runner series, also requires extremely low amounts of power and then a very expensive, making them ideal for very inexpensive, making them ideal for low cost applications. Okay, so which are cost sensitive, battery operated, portable applications such as mobile phones, digital handheld assistants. And where are FPGA used? These are used in wide variety of application, ranging from a processing of the data, storing of the data, instrumentation, telecommunication, digital signal processing, etc. So these are the few differences between the FPGA and the CPLDs. Now what are the advantages of programmable logic device? These offer customers much more flexibility. So as we all know, so it is a programmable logic device, so obviously it will provide the customer much more flexibility during the design cycle, because the design iterations are simply the matter of changing the programming file. So just changing the programming file, we can change the functionality of the PLEs, and the results of the design changes can be seen immediately in the working parts. PLDs do not require lead times for prototypes or the production parts. The PLDs are already on the distribution shelf, ready for the shipment. So what is the meaning of this here is, in case of ASICs, we have two application specific integrated circuits. So initially we have to design a circuit in such a way that it should meet a constraint, and it has to be fabricated on a single chip. So only when we get the order from the customer, the ASICs are generated or ASICs are developed. But in case of PLDs, programmable logic devices are many. They are already manufactured, and when whoever the customer wants it, we can just distribute it to the customer. So here there is no need to get an order from the user to develop an device. Here the PLDs are already developed and kept at the manufacturer. So wherever the customer wants, they can order it from the manufacturer. PLDs do not require the customers to pay a large NRE cost. So here the manufacturer also will not have any initial investment. Similarly, the customers also will not have to pay NRE cost, large NRE cost. So the purchase expensive mask sets, PLD suppliers incur those costs when they design their programmable devices, and are able to amortize those costs over the multi-year lifespan of a given line of PLDs. Okay, PLDs allow the customer to order just the number of parts they need when they need them, allowing them to control inventory. PLDs can be reprogrammed even after the piece of equipment is shipped to the customer. So imagine that the PLD is already shipped to the customer. Even if it is delivered, we can reprogram that, or maybe upgradation of that particular product can be done if it is already in use. And to do this, they simply upload a new programming file on the PLD via the internet, creating a new hardware logic design in the system. So these are the very important advantages of the programmable logic devices. Okay, now at the end, the last one, which is under the core of the embedded system, is the commercial off-the-shelf components. Now if you look into the from the microprocessor till the COTS, okay, so it is all like already built-in products. So the microprocessor, then we had microcontroller, then we had DSPs, then different types of architectures. Okay, then after that we studied ASIC, which is a specific chip for a particular application, and then we had PLDs, which are given by the manufacturer and can be programmed at the customer end. Now at the end comes to the commercial off-the-shelf components. So these COTS are nothing but they are the product is the one which is used as is. So they are already developed by the manufacturer. When we want it in the embedded system, we have to just take it from the market and put it into your embedded system. So COTS are produced. COTS products are designed in such a way to provide easy integration and interoperability with existing system components. So can we so I hope you all have done projects, mini projects, micro projects. So when you require to connect to the Wi-Fi system, when you have worked with Arduino, you must be remembering about one device, which is I think ESP device, which you connect for the to the Arduino microcontroller. On the top of it you connect this another module for the Wi-Fi connectivity, is it? So such type of modules are called the COTS. Okay, so the COTS component itself may be developed around a general purpose or a domain specific processor. So here we can imagine that the Arduino microcontroller what you had used, it's a general purpose or maybe a domain specific processor, or an application specific integrated circuit, or a programmable logic device. So imagine that you already have a processor, and upon that you will connect another device to increase its functionality, and that such type of devices are called the commercial off-the-shelf components. What are the advantages? They are readily available in the market, they are cheap, developer can cut down his development time to a great extent and reduces the time to market. So you did not have to design another device for the Wi-Fi functionality. There is already available device which you have to just put into the microcontroller and use it accordingly. So what are the different advantages? They are available in the market, they are cheap, and then once you put this device to your processor, then your entire embedded system is designed, hence the time to market will also be reduced. So what you mean by time to market? It is the time required for the application or for your embedded system to put it into your market, or maybe to sell it. Fine. So the one example of COT is, just now I told you, one example is a Wi-Fi module. Another example we can take it as remote control toy car control units. So this is the example of COT, COTS, that is remote control toy car control units, including what all it contains. This module contains the RF circuitry part, high performance and high frequency microwave electronics, high bandwidth analog to digital converters are also there in this, components for the operation at very high temperature, electro-optic IR image arrays, UV detectors, etc. So this single module of COT has so many peripherals built on it. So you can see there are some pins visible here. Okay, so there are some pins visible here. So these all we connected, or we put this on the top of the processor. So, okay, so once we put that, next will be, once we put that, then we can use that entire system, embedded system, for a particular application. Another example is TCP IP plugin module, available from various manufacturers like Viznet, Freescale. So are very good example of the COTS, okay, for TCP IP connection, internet protocol. Okay, so let us finish here. In this class we have finished entire the core of an embedded system, starting with microprocessor, microcontroller, DSPs, ASICs, PLDs, and the COTS at the end. So these are used for as a core of the embedded system. So in an embedded system we have finished the core, which is central part of the embedded system. Now again, in the next few classes we will see what are the other components built around this core of the embedded system. So there will be memory, okay, so there will be communication interfaces you need, some protocols you need, okay, and what are the IO devices we connected to your embedded system. So these all will be studying in the next few classes. Okay, so let us stop now. Thank you.